Welcome to Forest Chat, where we talk about individual endeavour in Western Australia, what it takes, what it means, and how you do it. I'm your host, Paul Vandermeer, and in today's episode, we're talking with Duncan Booth about being a radio show host. Duncan did a life change about 3.5 years ago, and about 3 years ago, started hosting the morning radio station at a community radio. And he's really enjoyed that process ever since. It really suits what he's all about. Welcome to Forest Chat, Duncan.
Thanks very much. Very good to be here. I feel quite at home behind the microphone, I must admit. Now, yeah, it's good to be here.
Great to have you here, Duncan. Duncan, what is being a radio show host?
Well, it's something that's very different to me. I did start about 3 years ago. I think it was 2.5 to 3 years ago. I've done 280 something 2.5 hour shows on Harvey Community Radio, 96.5 FM. And we broadcast out of Harvey Town, which my wife Sally and I moved to, as you said, about 3.5 years ago. We retired down to Harvey, so it wasn't just a change of location, it was also a complete change in our life, going from running our own businesses to suddenly finding ourselves with lots of time on our hands, and we've tried to use that time as usefully as we possibly could. And the radio, I've been told for years and years I should get into radio. People would say, Duncan, you've got a face for radio. Get stuck into it. So I did, and came across this fact, or we didn't know when we moved to Harvey that Harvey had this radio station that's been running for 25 years, and got collared. Hey, you ever thought about radio? And I'm thinking to myself, well, I actually have, and it's been absolutely brilliant. I've loved it. I must admit that for the first 6 months or so of retiring, I just didn't want to get involved in anything. We just wanted to sleep in, wanted to go out and have lunch, and Harvey's a fantastic stepping stone down to many, many country towns. And we just got out and about, and we sussed out the region, did lots and lots of lunches. I got on the committee for the radio before I committed to doing a show, and then decided, right, it's now time. And I get up early, 3 mornings a week, Mondays, Thursdays and Friday mornings, to get on air at 7:30 and do a 2.5 hour show through until 10 o'clock. I love it.
It's a fantastic time of the day to be doing a radio show. Having like the early 4 a.m. starts, yes, and all of that.
Yes, exactly. It's my alarm goes off at 6:45. I normally leave the house at about 20 past 7. Ride my bike to the studio, rain, hail or shine, and I'm usually unlocking the place if I'm the first one there, and a couple of mornings a week I am, and screaming into the studio, seeing that there's 17 seconds left on the song or whatever, and just plug in and off I go. And I just thoroughly enjoy having guests on. That's probably the most enjoyable bit. I try to have a guest on each program, just a local. The tagline to our radio station is "It's your town talking," so I try to get as many local voices on as I possibly can. But I also just share information about what's going on in the district. On a Tuesday, you can go to Yarloop Community Resource Centre and join in the town's morning tea, or there's a walking group in Brunswick, on a certain morning at 8 o'clock, and just anything that's happening around town, whether it shows at the cultural centre, or there might be, a community rubbish pickup or whatever it is. It's just great to be able to give back to the town, and I find that I do it quite easily. I'm not lost for words, but it's a great fun thing that I have found that I enjoy heaps doing it.
And you're one of a group of people, I would imagine?
Yes, it's a voluntary organisation. 25 years ago it started, and 25 years ago the seed was sown. but the radio station has only actually been on air and continuously on air for the last 21 years. But yeah, it's a really good organisation. As with any voluntary run organisation, we're always looking around for more people that would like to come and get involved in it. But it does seem that volunteers are snapped up in so many different areas. And the radio can be a little bit scary for some people, even though we'd be very, very happy to accept someone in just to help us out with, a bit of the bookwork or making sure that all the songs are labelled correctly or that our website's maintained or whatever it is. There's a spot for volunteers, but it's not always a case of having to be on air. But, that's something that I'm very comfortable with. So yeah, I found my home there.
Play to your strengths?
Yeah, well, this is exactly right. We're a bit of a specialised society, I like to say, with many, many things, especially when it comes to lawn mowing and stuff like that. You can grab someone that's their little specialty and off they go, while you can go off and maybe earn money doing what you do better than other people.
Good way to approach it.
Yeah.
So with the community radio, where is it broadcast to?
Right, well, it's interesting. We have got our antenna north of Harvey, and it's ageing, but we did boost it just recently. So you can't get Harvey Community Radio on a radio like in Waroona, but you can from Yarloop and Cookanup and maybe just a little bit north of that. All the way down through Dardanup, all throughout. In my car, now I've got a reasonably new car, so it's digital radio set up there, but in my car I can get it all driving around the Bunbury area and Austral End and all that. But of course, nowadays with technology, most people understand how to use apps on their phone and stuff like that. So there's the Community Radio Plus app, which people can listen to community radio stations all around, around the world, really. And there's another app that you can have on your phone called Radio Garden, and that one comes up kind of like Google Earth, where you can just spin the world around, and there's these green dots absolutely everywhere. And if you just hover over one of those dots, whatever that radio station is in that part of the globe, you can listen to. So where do we broadcast to? Everywhere on planet. Nothing off planet at this point in time, I don't think.
So there's the element of broadcast transmissions through your antenna in a defined-ish geographical area, and then there's on the internet, which is everywhere.
That's right, and of course the wonderful world of podcasts. Just basically, if you're not listening to live radio, for example, when I do have my chats, I don't like to call them interviews because we just have a chat. That's what it's about. They are usually clipped out and then put on our town's Facebook page, and we're redoing our website at the moment, so we're going to have all of them all in one spot, because people love to listen to to people that they know, and they love to go, I've got a fella called Ripper Wellington. He's coming on tomorrow morning talking about fire brigade races. Are you aware of fire brigade races, where kids they race putting hoses together? They're running up this bitumen strip, and there's targets that they have to spray the water at, and when they do that, that's their time done. So it's all about speed and agility and teamwork and all that kind of stuff. So it's a short season, but we're just trying to attract more kids into that between the footy season and the cricket season, because they can get their fitness up. So those sort of interesting for the town chats that we have, to have those available at any time, anywhere. And it's not just that, like we do a little bit of oral history stuff. We ask people, as part of series that we're having, Sounds Like Harvey 2025, people who have been living in the town for a while, or they're maybe new to town or whatever, and they just share their stories. Very similar to what you're doing now. You're just asking about my background, how I got into it, all that kind of stuff. People like to hear those chats with people who are locals. Yeah.
Even this podcast, I've had feedback from people along the lines of, I'm so glad that it's an interview that talks to people that I know.
Yeah. Yeah, it's way more interesting. There's some people are really interesting on their own right, and so strangers, and the ABC with their Conversations podcast. It's very, very good. But when you're fishing from a small pond, just in our shire, let's say, there's a lot of weight to actually knowing the person. But everyone has a story. It doesn't matter who you speak to. Everyone's got an interesting story there.
Absolutely. With my oral history recordings that I do, some people think that they don't have a story, but everybody has a story. And I say, even if two brothers go to the same fair on the same day, they will come back with different stories of the day.
That's right. When it involves two individuals, there's usually three stories: his, hers, and the truth. Yeah, somewhere in there, you'll uncover all the information.
Hopefully.
That's true.
Duncan, what does it take you to be a radio host?
Right. What does it take to be a radio host, or what does it take Duncan to be a radio host?
What does it take Duncan to be a radio host? Because we'll talk about what does it take somebody else later.
Yeah, all right. So, I have in my past had a lot of time in sales, running my own business. I had a furniture removal business for 25 years where we were moving people's homes and offices and stuff like that. And so to win the business, you have to be able to talk to people. And I was very personalised with people. I would spend a lot of time and gain their trust and then execute that trust. And so I've talked with a lot of people one-on-one, and I've also done presentations for other businesses in front of large crowds. So a lot of people, when they think about the radio, they're so nervous, so nervous, but if you just have a chat with them and you're treating them as if we were the only two people in the room and we're just talking about something interesting, usually a subject that they know a lot about, I find that relatively easy to do. So what does it take? I suppose I've got a little bit of experience there. It takes time, 7.5 hours a week, three 2.5 hour slots I do a week, and I do them from 7:30 through until 10 o'clock in the morning. So I have to be disciplined to get out of bed and go. It is a voluntary thing, even though some mornings, just recently especially, it's been rather chilly outside the bed. But yeah, I love it. I really enjoy it. I've got into this community, and so it doesn't take a lot. I'm not having to be cajoled into doing it. If there's someone coming to town, like we've got Lucy Durack coming to town. Now she's a star of the stage shows. She's been in Shrek the Musical and the Wiz or whatever it is. Other big stage shows. So she's a musical star on stage. She's coming in on a Sunday. So if I haven't been asked to, but if it was a case of having a chat with her, I'd be there on a Sunday. It's because it's not a job, because it's purely a voluntary thing. I get a lot of pleasure out of doing what I'm doing. They don't have to pay me to do what I'm doing. I do it, I was going to say I'd probably pay them, but I don't know whether I would pay them. But yeah, so what does it take? I suppose it takes a little bit of experience and guts to put yourself out there a little bit. I don't mind, doing that. And also there's quite a bit of work when I'm not on air, trying to find 3 people a week that will come in and have a chat with me. So yeah, I suppose it doesn't take this is me admitting my stuff. It doesn't take a lot of preparation because I don't prepare. I literally walk in at 28 minutes past 7 and the song is finishing off and I'm plugging my headphones in. I'm quickly putting the recording program on and bang, I'm live and I'm just into it. And so I suppose, I have got some skills in that regard to be able to think on my feet and just talk like that. But yeah, it doesn't take a lot because I love it. There's the more concise answer to your question. What does it take? It doesn't take a lot. I love it. Yeah. So, it's just when you find your niche, when you find something that you love, then it doesn't take a lot of cajoling to do that.
And sounds like the equipment side of things, that's all set up, ready to go. You just plug in and hit a button.
I'm yet to listen back to show number 1, and one thing I said on show number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, probably the first 30 shows really, is, whoops, sorry, community radio, that's all right, we'll get this sussed. I just decided I was going to throw myself in, and because it is community radio and because there was not a breakfast live presenter, I thought it doesn't matter what I do, I'm going to do it better than whatever was on before. It doesn't take a lot of effort to learn the programming, how to use the recording program, how to use the actual setup in the radio. It really isn't difficult at all. I've taught different people since coming on board myself. But yeah, there is a learning curve. There is a learning curve, and your own style, and you just the knowledge of what you want to get out of a conversation, or just how often you should be talking about the sponsors and stuff like that. So I've found that it's very, very easy now. But with anything where you've put lots and lots of hours into it, it becomes easier and easier. Yeah.
Definitely practice makes a massive difference.
Yeah. The old expression, practice makes perfect, is one that I've always said is incorrect. It's perfect practice makes perfect. Because if you keep practicing the mistakes over and over again and not learn from them, it doesn't get you any better at all. So it's good. I enjoy stuffing up on the radio because it guarantees that I'm going to come out of it, more knowledgeable than when I went in. And sometimes you just have to do it. You just embrace your mistakes, love your mistakes. Some people, I know, over-edit all their stuff, whereas people kind of like a little bit of realism in all things. So unless you're trying to put out an absolutely perfect product, which I am not, I'm not, because it's a community radio show, and it's something that if I came out and was slick as, then other people would say, I can't do that. I'd much rather be fumbling and not have a radio voice and just chat with people, have a laugh, make them giggle about stuff that maybe we shouldn't be giggling about. But, it's just good fun.
Absolutely, that whole authentic piece of it, but really it's just about being you.
Yeah, I don't want the radio Duncan to be any different to Duncan that you'll just find down at the IGA or whatever, Yeah, no, I think being authentic is something that a lot of people, maybe in their work situation, here's a classic one, work Christmas parties. If you invite the spouses of people that work at your workplace, you will find that, let's say, that bloke, right? When no one knows his wife, he brings his wife along to a Christmas party, and the old wild man in the office, who is hilarious and comes around, will sit next to his wife quiet as, because that's not how he behaves in front of his wife or whatever. So I've always been a big one for no wives or partners at Christmas parties, so we just keep it going. But yeah, that authenticness is something that must, in my belief, must hold true in all you do.
Definitely where people need to be. No question about that.
I think so.
Excuse me.
I just want to say hi to Paul, who's cutting this section out.
Thank you. And you haven't asked me a question yet.
No, I'm being good, aren't I? I hope you leave that in, though. That's a bit of authenticness.
That would be authentic. I might take out the cough.
Yeah, you can do that. There was a cough there, by the way, just before we started talking that. All right, Paul, let's go.
There's a lot that you do in amongst the community that gets funneled through the radio station. You showed me a list of all the stuff that's going on in the community. Mm-hmm. What does it take you to get all of that together?
Very interesting coming into a small town. Very, very interesting coming into a small town that's of like 3,000 people, where you talk to someone who wasn't born there, who moved there 28 years ago, and they know they're not a local. That's the old classic country town joke. Oh, I don't think I'm a local yet. I've only been here 50 years. So I had to throw myself in, and I got known pretty quickly in the town. And lots of people have said, Duncan, you've got yourself involved in so many things so quickly. And I have. And I really enjoy that because I've met a lot of people. And remembering everyone's names, Paul, oh my lordy. I say to my wife, it's just not fair because there's so many of them and there's only one of me. So it's easy for them to remember my name, but I'm having to remember heaps. So anyway, I've thrown myself into the community quite a bit. I have taken up ukulele playing. I'm horrible. You just got to ask my wife at that. But when you're in a group of 6 or 7 other people playing the ukulele as beginners, overall it sounds good, so you can belt it out. So I've got myself involved in that. I drive the bus on a part-time basis. I haven't got a regular bus driving gig for Harvey Connect, our over 55s club in Harvey. So they have the Cocoon Run, whether you remember the old Cocoon movie, where old people would go into the swimming pool and it would revive them. Anyway, this is from years and years ago. I do the Cocoon Run down to the Waroona pool, occasionally taking some of our seniors down there for a nice warm swim. And that's great because you can chat with them while you're driving the bus and find out what the vibe is, what they're thinking about town, because many of them are locals who've been there forever, and if things have changed, they'll express their opinions. I've got involved in, we're doing yoga and a whole lot of exercise classes. I was at the gym today. And you get to know the staff down there and the people and it's the Harvey Recreation and Cultural Centre, so they've got the rec stuff and also a whole lot of these shows that are coming up. And so talking with the staff there, hey, is there anything that I can talk about? And I'm getting the new pamphlets, the new information about the shows. I speak to a lot of shop owners. I like to find out what's going on, how are things going. Is business good? And so I'm into as many little community organisations as I can. I've joined the Men's Shed. I love going in and talking with people who are involved with the Harvey Museum. I've joined the Harvey Run Club, the Harvey Meander Club. Sorry, not the Run Club. There are people who run, but there are people who bring their kids along, on the little scooters and dogs and prams, and we only do it for 20 minutes on a Saturday morning and then go up and have a coffee at the local cafe in town, the Curious Cockatoo. So off we go up to the Curious Cockatoo after 20 minutes of getting a glow up. But there are other people who are sweating like dogs, running around, and I'm well done as they run past. But any little community organisation. I got involved with the Rotary Recycling Regatta. I dressed up in 2 different dresses. I had a change. I had wigs and big yellow dress and blue dress, but I just threw myself into the community, and by doing that, I got to know, and other people got to know me, and through that, I can't. 450 metres away from the main street of Harvey is where our house is. And I can't just jump on my bike and go in there and grab a litre of milk without stopping and having a chat with 2 or 3 people. So I love it. I absolutely love it. So what does it take, or whatever your question was? I don't know, just being part of the community is where it's all of this is led for me, and I think it's wonderful. Standing up in council meetings, asking questions, doing all sorts of stuff. But I think I've really, really found my little town that I love and look forward to spending the next, what am I going to do? I'm going to say 40 years there. I think it'd be awesome.
And you're building your community, but the community as well.
Yeah, I do think, I was going to say I would like to think that I'm sort of helpful in the town. and I am helpful in the town. You know, I've done MCing for the Lions Christmas dinner. I've MC'd our Harvey Harvest Festival long table lunch. You know, there was 280 people paying around, you know, $150 a seat or whatever. A beautiful big thing, but it's great. It's so good to get involved, and then you get to know the people who are the workers there, the other volunteers and other organisations, you know. And so I think retirement, people who say, what are you going to do? Oh, they have no idea how busy retirement is if you wish it to be.
Yes, if you choose to do, there's lots you can do.
Yep.
We've heard quite a bit about what it takes you, Duncan, to be a radio host, and we've really even pushed on to the next question, so we'll look at more of what it means after this break. We've heard what it takes, Duncan, to be a radio host on community radio. Now, let's have a look at what it means. Duncan, what does it mean to you, your family, or the community that you're able to be a radio host?
Oh, what does it mean to me? Let's start with me, hey? It gives me a sense of belonging. It gives me a sense of purpose. It gives me warm fuzzies. I had a fella called Doug Buist come on the show, and Dougie's fantastic. The community loves him. And when I put the notice up, there was lots and lots of people making comments and liking and love hearts and all that kind of stuff on the Facebook page. But it gave him a chance to share information about his family reunion that's coming up. And if I didn't have this radio show, if I hadn't, put my hand up, he wouldn't have had that platform. Yeah, so it means a lot to me to be able to help out the community in that way that we can. I've been able to promote the tagline of our radio station, which is Your Town Talking. I've helped a lot of people come on and push their barrow on certain subjects, whether it be the Mile Pines changes that are happening there, or gun control laws and paperwork, or just saying, hey, look, we're at the change of seasons, come along kids, get your kids involved, in like the fire brigade thing. So it means a lot to me. I love it. My family, I think there's a bit of jeepers. He's doing all right. I don't know. For those of us with kids out there, I'm sure that my kids thought it was just going to crash and burn, and what's he doing, I'm a bit of a ragamuffin, so whether they thought that I would have still been doing it now, but no, I'm very much very thrilled that I've been able to do it, and I think that they have seen me get very passionate about this as well. What does it mean to the community? I suppose I touched on that a little bit. I think I'm doing a good job in the community, and I do get feedback from that, and I'm very happy that I've been able to help out the community, because the radio station is a underutilised asset that we have, and it can be utilised a lot more. And I got very heavily involved in the music mix that we had. It got away from us. There was a lot of music being added that wasn't necessarily, fantastic music to hear. And so when I first came to town, there were certain things that I thought, I could definitely help there, and the music mix is one. And I've had a lot of feedback from people about the fact that it is really good mix for, sort of people in their 40s, 50s, 60s, 30s even. But really, the teenagers and the 20-year-olds, they just consume differently. They're not radio listeners. Some do, but the way that they consume music nowadays as well is just through all algorithms, recommending stuff. And my son, one of my sons, is just an 80s, he and his friends, they just listen to 80s music. And it's like, mate, get your own music. That's our music, But that's the way that they consume, and they don't listen to the radio and that. So really we've geared the music just being really good music that people, of that sort of 30s onwards, all the way through until 70 or 80-year-olds, the songs that are just good songs from the whole, from the last few decades, or let's say 5 decades really, but even into the 60s. But we just pick the eyes out of it, just the really, really good songs, not the also-rans. So I know that we've made a difference to the town there. Plus, Your Town Talking, all those conversations that we have with the new people in town, old people in town, just community members of our town and the region is, it's really good. I know that we're making a difference out there.
You've got quite a diverse population in Harvey itself as a town. Does that make a difference?
Well, we've got an Indigenous show, we've got an Italian show, we've got a Filipino show, and all of those are in their native languages. So there is this diversity in town. And that is actually being reflected in the radio station as well, which is fantastic. But it is only 3 hours a week, or maybe 6 hours a week, because each show gets repeated. So there's three hour slots, but it comes out to be 6 hours during the week where it's not English. And like the Italian hour, Musica Viva, that's been going for 830 weeks now.
Wow.
That's a lot of years.
Yeah.
So that's got a great following, and they play Italian music and all that. And the Filipinos, same. John, to the fella who does that, he speaks in Filipino and English, but plays a lot of the Filipino or popular Filipino music. But when it's not those ones, people are interested in different things. There's a fella in Binningup who has a show called Cobblers, and it's a whole load of old cobblers. But he finds interesting stuff in technology and just stuff that interests him. He's put this show together, and I find his stuff interesting as well. So, and there's another fella from Binningup that has a show, What's My Theme? He's a classic radio show, Hot and Cold was his theme last week or whatever, and so you got Hot in the City and all the different songs that pertain to that. So there's people like rock and roll shows. So I suppose it's just a reflection of the community. So the diversity within the community certainly comes through on the radio, through the radio station, through the volunteers that make up the personnel in the radio station.
Yeah, it sounds like you've got a very nicely rounded and close-fitting program.
It is. Look, there's always around. If people are out there and you're in the Harvey region and you'd like to put your show together, there's a lot of stuff that we can do, that we can help you out with. You don't have to do a lot of talking. Even if people just wanted a whole lot of rock and roll songs together or jazz songs together and just put a playlist out there, you can get involved. So there you go, the diversity. Even if you don't want to speak, you can be a radio star as well, just through volunteering with us.
Great opportunities. And the volunteers who come along, what do they get out of it?
Warm fuzzies mainly. They might get a sticker or maybe even a hat. We see people grow, and that's a lovely thing when they do start a show. That fella Michael from Binningup, it's been great. He came in, he was nervous, he was, but keen. And sort of unlike myself, he didn't rock in just straight away. He's doing live shows now, which was, he's on Saturday morning between 8 and 10 every Saturday morning, and he's doing it live, and he puts lots of preparation in, does an absolutely wonderful job. He hasn't been doing the live as long as he's been doing the What's My Theme, so he did his 50th What's My Theme show. So, he's done a year of this show. And, he got some recognition for his 50th show the other day. And just to see him, it made his day, it made his week, just to get that recognition. So you get a thrill out of people telling you you've done a good job, but when you get sort of officially recognised as well, it just pushes people on to do even more, because recognition is something that very few people get in their daily life, whether it be a mum slaving away, and the only recognition she gets is when the kids come home and, where's my dinner? There's none of that, oh mum, you've done such a good job around the house here and thanks for cleaning my room or anything. Someone said to me that babies cry for it and men die for it. And it's something that good volunteer organisations will put a lot of effort into recognition. But you can get personal achievement, you can get a whole lot of other stuff, but when you are actually sort of officially recognised and maybe given a little plaque to put on your wall or something, it keeps pushing you in the right direction. Some people may be drifting away and then they go, oh, that was nice, and then they come back again. So that's what I think people get out of being on the radio.
It's such a valuable part of society, that recognition, isn't it?
Oh, it's huge, and people just don't receive it enough. Probably people don't give it enough, and it's a very difficult thing for a lot of people to receive. I know that there's an absolutely brilliantly talented lady that was very much involved in our long table lunch for the Harvey Harvest Festival, and she absolutely squirmed when she was being recognised and thanked for doing it. So I know that there are a lot of people that do find it very, very, very difficult, but I'm sure that deep down in there she was very, very thankful for the fact that people could see that the huge efforts that she put in were really, really well received. But yeah, we're all different, Paul. We're all different.
Amazingly so. And that's why even this show has so many wonderful guests on board. Everybody's different. Everyone brings something different.
Yeah, yeah. And people disclose different levels as well. I remember going on a course that was a 3-day course, and they had us from 8 o'clock in the morning till 10:30 at night every day. And they gave us homework that we had to do out of hours. And all it was just trying to get us to break down our barriers, get us really tired. And so we'd eventually give up this facade of being whatever facade you're throwing up there, to actually getting down to the inner core of each person. And a lot of truth was shown in that last day of the course. A lot of truth, because many people can, just put on that brave face, and then when they go home, they might complain about whatever it is that they've been doing. But eventually, that facade gets chipped away, whether it be through tiredness or just continuous whatever it is that's getting them down. Eventually, their real self will come out. So, I'm sure that you can get people on here in short form and they can just be absolutely Teflon. But if you get people into long form chats, that's where they can't keep that facade up all the time. People start to see through that. Yeah. So I think being genuine, and this is what we've touched on a little bit earlier, but yeah, I think that's the truth. That's your truth. That's the truth. The truth will set you free. You can't People try to do it in marriages, you know. They marry someone because, oh yeah, it's great, he loves fitness stuff and I really want to do fitness stuff. No, you don't. You really love hanging out and having a durry and a couple of shots with your mates on a Friday night, you know, and that's opposite to what you've actually been telling your husband. So, you know, eventually these things break down or whatever. So the truth will always set you free. You know, that's being true to yourself is a big, big thing. Or being true about yourself to people is a big, big thing.
We've talked a good bit there about what it means that you're able to be a radio host, and we've covered quite a nice suite of good things in that. We'll have a break now, and after the break, we'll have a look at how you do it. We've had a good talk about what it means that Duncan can be a radio host. Now, let's have a look at how you do it. Duncan, if someone wanted to become a radio host, how would they go about it?
All right, that's good, because that's not the question that I thought you were going to ask. It was how does Duncan do it? Duncan does it by the seat of his pants. That's how Duncan does it. But if you would like to get involved with our voluntary organisation, Harvey Community Radio, and any other community radio stations around the place, we're all very, very similar. It is a case of just getting in contact with someone. It's kind of like the Freemasons. You've got to know one to be one. But yeah, no, coming on down, you don't need to know anyone at all. You can just get in contact with your local community radio station, and I can guarantee that they will welcome you with open arms. It's an organisation, or they are organisations that, as I said a little bit earlier in this, that there are all different voluntary roles. It doesn't have to all be about being on air. It can be just admin-y side of things, or looking after the music. Voluntary organisations always tend to run away a little bit in their organisations, whether it's even just that pile of rubbish that keeps getting bigger in the spare room of the station, but yeah, just getting in contact. Listening, I suppose, is a good thing to do. To start off by listening to your community radio stations. They can be found anywhere, and that Radio Garden app, or the other one, Community Radio Plus, are two good apps that you can listen into your local radio stations at. And maybe just get on the websites. You know, they'll always have a website with some sort of programming guide, so you can see how many holes are there if they're just going music or whatever in this particular hour slot. You know, and then you could think about a show if you wish to be on the air. You could think about a show that you'd like to put together. I would suggest just being really simple at the start. Just something that you're interested in, whether that be certain types of music or gardening or whatever it is. You could start out with tiny little segments. There's little 5-minute did you know, or stuff about what you could be like a little roving reporter and just tell people about all the community activities that are coming along, which is one of the things that I do in my show, is I talk about all the different stuff. But community radio stations, grassroots level, just getting in there and saying, I want to help. How can I do it? You know, where can I start? Because suddenly then you've got a group of friends, whether you know it or not, you're going to be part of a larger circle of people in your own community that are all kind of like-minded, that they are there to help that station improve or whatever. But yeah, just getting involved one step at a time. You could maybe help out with voicing some of the sponsors' slots, because we are a not-for-profit, and we do have businesses around our region that wish to advertise, but they can't advertise because we don't do advertising, but we do sponsors slot. So, for example, Jenny's Shoes and Fashions in the heart of Harvey, proud station sponsors of Harvey Community Radio 96.5 FM. There you go. So we're not advertising for her, but it's an awareness that brings people's awareness of Jenny's shop. So, you just doing those little voiceovers, just sitting in a studio and reading off a script and helping out, getting different voices on the radio, not just the core group of people that tend to get asked to voice a slot or a community announcement or something like that. I think that's a really gentle way of just coming in and getting on air, but not having a real regular commitment or whatever. A good way of sticking your toe in the water slightly.
In your radio station, I know some of them apparently do also read articles out of the paper.
Yes, reading for the print handicapped is what it's officially called, and I don't like that name for it, but stories from the Harvey Waroona Reporter are read by a couple of our volunteers, and it's quite a nice thing to do it in tandem. And you just basically read stories. You go through and you pick out 8 or 10 stories or whatever, usually finishing off with one on the back page, the sport, and you just read out just local news, local things that are from our local paper. And that's a nice gentle way of coming in. It's always good to have different voices on the radio, and you soon find out that it's very, very easy to edit ums and ahs, and if you do cough or you want to start that sentence again, no problems at all. Just go for it. It's not like the old days where you'd be using film or whatever. You don't take too many photos. You can record as much as you like. There's no reel-to-reel recording stuff that you're ruining or whatever. With digital, you can just make mistakes and say it again.
It's never happened on this show.
No, that's right. That was just to see whether you'll edit that out or keep it in.
Oh, thank you very much, Duncan, for being on Forest Chat. It's been great having you on.
I'm thrilled to have done this. It's great. I hope that I've given you enough to make a decent show out of. But I also look forward to subscribing to your podcast and just hearing local voices from around the region. I think it's a great thing to do. Yeah, getting more and more local voices out there and sort of getting rid of the hoodoo of actually getting involved in these podcasting content creation. It's awesome that you do this.
Thank you. It's an amazing opportunity for me to be able to do this as well. I get to meet all sorts of different people doing all sorts of different things. It's fantastic.
Yeah.
Really enjoy catching up with people, and sometimes I think I know precisely what this person's going to talk about.
Yeah.
But that's rarely the case. Actually, when they start talking,
mm-hmm.
they're off on some different angle that I had no concept of.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Really. Well, when I chat to people, have people in, I very, 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 very rarely have any questions written down at all. We just have a chat. And if it's going somewhere where I'm finding that interest, hey, I want to know more about that, tell me more about, whatever it is. And usually the listeners are also thinking those same sort of thoughts. So, I'm thrilled to come on. I'm very happy to help you out in any way. But I do want to go tit for tat. If I'm on yours, you're going to have to come on mine. So I will get you on at some stage, a Monday, a Thursday or a Friday morning. We'll do it live, which is a little bit out of your area with this, but it's a good way to have a bit of fun and grow.
I look forward to the opportunity.
Yeah.
He says crossing his fingers.
There you go, listeners. At some stage soon, there will be Paul on my show.
Thanks very much, Duncan. All Forest Chat listeners wish you the best with your future endeavours.
Thank you very much, and I can put that straight back at you guys. A little growing community. Awesome. Keep a lookout. I'm sure that there are going to be lots of interesting people coming on this podcast. Thanks very much, Paul.
Pleasure. Thank you. You've been listening to Forest Chat, where we talk about individual endeavour in Western Australia, what it takes, what it means, and how you do it. I'm your host, Paul Vandermeer, and in today's episode, we talked with Duncan Booth about being a radio host. Remember, there are 4 ways to get involved with Forest Chat. Share the domain Forest.chat with your friends and family and people you meet. When you sign up for the email list, you get advance notice of episodes. Listen to the episodes at forest.chat/episodes. If you do something interesting, book an interview at forest.chat/interview. If you want to support a local business, book an advert at forest.chat/advert. I'm looking forward to joining you with our next guest. Until then, enjoy making it happen.